Hello, my lovelies. This is going to be our weekly shadow work. We're going to start with conversations with our inner self. This deck is designed to work just like that. You can use it to where these songs, you can use it to where the cards might trigger something for you. So talk to yourself about that. Trust your intuition and where it's guiding you in case you need to work on something. So it's a two-part deck. We're going to use part one, which is what we need to identify. Childhood activities. What activities did you enjoy as a child? And what does this reveal about your inner child? Parents. What was your relationship to your parental guardians like during your teen years? Hidden self. What parts of yourself do you feel you have to hide from your family? And hidden desires. What hidden desires do you have? All right, so part two is called integrating. It's how you find the balance. What do we need to know for the collective this week? Needs. What are needs that you have that have been neglected? And how can you establish your needs and standards more strongly in life? Humor. In what ways does your shadow self reveal itself in your sense of humor? Mine's a little dark. Acceptance. How can you practice accepting yourself? And change. What are 5 ways you have changed in the past 10 years? Are these mainly positive or negative? One more. Repeat. Every part of me, light and shadow, contributes to my wholeness. All right, now we're going to start our shadow work. All right, so this is a tandem deck as well. It's called the Tarot of Light and Shadow. It has a dark color, the shadow side, and a light color. So we're going to start with the shadow side, the part that we repress or is hidden. Ooh, okay. So we are going towards a path of enlightenment. I feel like there could also be the need or the want to break tradition somewhere in your life. I feel like this is also maybe in relationships that maybe you don't want to do things the traditional way, especially when it comes to marriage. Maybe you're in a relationship that it isn't the norm, you know? It's like not what society would deem normal. So whatever that happens to be. I feel like this is also a path that is more difficult, but it's also a path that is freeing when you're able to be your most authentic version of yourself. Faults and all, right? That's the whole point of shadow work. So I get the sense that we really do need to kind of step out of a comfort zone, and we need to embrace all those challenges as that's part of who we actually are at our core. I also feel like the Hierophant, when it's in the shadow, is that we're breaking the mold, or we're breaking through glass ceilings, and we're going towards enlightenment. Not all of that is pleasant or enjoyable, but it's necessary, right? So the other thing is that we're learning to shift our perspective and to see things differently, that it doesn't have to be negative, it can actually be positive, and that we are making a decision to walk away from the things that no longer serve our highest good, no matter what that is, whether that's a job, a situation, a relationship, that there's definitely some things that are exiting our life because they're no longer aligned with us. And for some of us, that's ending a long-term commitment or a marriage. And I definitely see that there's something, hiccups for confirmation, you know how I go. So I feel like this is also an indication that some divorces are coming up, breakups are coming up. And the reason they're coming up is that you've been disappointed, you've been let down. There's this feeling of neglect. There's also this feeling of needing and wanting more. And I feel like if your emotional needs are not being met, then this is an indication from Spirit that it's time for those things to change, that there is definitely better people out there, better situations out there, if you're willing to make the change. Acknowledging it sometimes is the first step, right? The Hermit tells us that we need some time alone. We need to do the shadow work. We need that inner reflection in order to actually illuminate. And ironically, the Hermit is always in solitary energy, but he carries that little lantern to light the way. And I feel like you are somebody who is lighting the way for other people. And so it's important that you are working on yourself internally in order to be the light for others. Sometimes Sometimes other people hold the light for us and guide the way, and other times we are the one that's guiding the way for others that are in the dark. So it's an important balance that Spirit's showing me, is that almost like, here, come take my hand and I'm going to show you the way out, versus you may have needed somebody to do that for you, and maybe you didn't have that. Maybe you were the one who guided yourself out of that. Judgment in the shadow is an interesting card. There's a lot of karma that's being dealt across the board. And I feel like this is an indication that some things are really transforming for the better. But I also feel like judgment in the shadow can be pretty harsh. And sometimes we're too hard on ourselves, like self-critical, judging ourselves, maybe others too harshly. So can you maybe find a compromise? Can you maybe be a little less harsh on yourself or others at this time? Because I feel like there's some things that are pending finality that are coming to a close. And that takes a lot of strength, but you might not feel strong enough to go through these challenges right now. Spirit wants you to know, yes, you are. If you really need to leave something behind, that they will give you the strength you need to do so. And the Eight of Coins tells us that we have to put in the hard work where it's required. I feel like somebody could be being a little bit lazy, especially in a commitment. Maybe they're not putting forth their best effort. Maybe they're not willing to try to make things right. So those might be some things that Spirit's trying to show you need to exit. All right, how do we find the balance this week? What do we need to know about this situation? Show me what the answers are. What can we do? All right. The Queen of Cups. So she's very nurturing. I feel like this is an important lesson that you need to be kind to yourself. The Queen of Cups is usually seen as very motherly, very nurturing, very empathetic, and very tapped into spirit energy. There's some sort of blessing that Spirit's trying to show you, but can you shift your perspective and can you see what's in front of you? I feel like there is an opportunity for abundance coming in. There is some sort of quick movement, and I feel like somebody's rushing towards you with communication. The Knight of Swords, knights always bring news. So someone's trying to be brave and come towards you, and I feel like it's someone after an ending. Like now they gathered their courage to come forward. There's a lot of spying energy, and I feel like it's from a past person that you've had an ending with. I feel like this person's kind of gossiping because they don't have answers, so they're spying. It's the only thing left to do. There is this sense of limbo, right? And like the in-between can be really challenging, especially with the Hermit. So you could be dealing with a Virgo and a Pisces combination. I believe the North and South Node are turning to Virgo and Pisces from Libra and Aries, so those might be placements to look at in your chart. But I feel like this is an opportunity for you to set yourself free, but you have to do the work to get there. You have to see what the actual solution is. You've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be vulnerable. You've got to do the hard shadow work. What else do they need to know? Tell me about judgment. All right, it's going to take teamwork to make the dream work. I strongly feel that you need to collaborate with Source on this next move, and that Source is what is going to align these new opportunities for your success and abundance coming in. So almost like divine intervention is going to come through when you need it the most in order to be able to actually make changes. Yes, and potentially bring in that emotional fulfillment that you've been looking for. I do think that this King of Cups and the Queen of Cups, you know, it's like an ideal match here. So maybe somebody who actually can pour into your cup since you've been pouring into others. They are wanting to let go of conflict and chaos in their life as well, and somebody that is willing to put in the work. I feel like the person that you've had an ending with or will have an ending with, lots of chaos, lots of fighting, lots of turmoil, and someone who is lazy and didn't do the work. So don't overthink it too much. Follow your intuition. Shift your perspective to something more positive. See the silver lining. Could go to something that's much more permanent for you. Marriage, traditional, commitment, enlightenment, definitely ascension. But you first have to make a decision. So trusting your instincts is going to be critical for you to make that wise decision. Don't be confused by things that aren't for you. Remember that the enemy likes to attack our mind, so we have to stay positive and tuned into spirit and then we will be able to make clear choices. But I do feel like you're kind of reliving some things from the past right now, so that's some things that I would definitely work on letting go of, things that aren't for you. The sun tells us that brighter days are ahead, marriage, children, the whole 9 yards. Your ships are coming in, some positive changes, and I feel like it's time for you to focus on healing, and then you get to a blessing. 333, that's in alignment with source energy. Have a great week.